So I'm going to do a little more extended video on the whole idea of a tribond between Russell Crowe, the actor, Jordan Peterson, the psychologist guru, and then now I'm going to change the photo to Justin Peters. So Russell Crowe plays Justin Peters, and Russell Crowe also plays Jordan Peterson. So I've got a mixture of things up here on my board, and I'm going to try my best to pull some things up for you to see what else I can add to this. I'm not very good with editing, so you'll have to just kind of abide with me as I do this. Okay, here's an interview of Russell Crowe, and we'll just watch a little segment of that.
A lot of different places through that period. I was in Vancouver, or I was in Illinois, Sydney, Los Angeles, going round and round. And so wherever I went, my aim was to sing every day. So I ended up hooking up with a whole bunch of different singing teachers, and they all have their own shorthand and language that you have to learn, and they're very much a unique unique breed. So that was cool, building up to it, and I felt I prepared as well as I could. And see, when I was a young fella, I used to go through like a pre-audition ritual. I'd get up in the morning, I would walk down to a place called Centennial Park in Sydney, and I just had this thing in my mind that I know I'm the only actor in Australia who's awake at this time, having not been awake all night, and that was, to me, it was psychologically important. That gave me an edge, So, and I would always make a little deal with myself. All right.
Okay, Russell Crowe's a little bit melancholic. He's a little bit not giddy and not smiling all the time, and that you can see that in Jordan Peterson as well as especially Justin Peters. So let's go to another interview here by Jordan Peterson. Remember, Russell Crowe plays Jordan Peterson. Now, by the way, if you notice the hair, I always try to pay attention to the hair and the hairlines. It's like his forehead is completely open here. And if you noticed on that Russell Crowe interview, oh, there's another one, Russell Crowe. It's all open. It's like a straight across open forehead. Straight across open forehead. Now, I know you can't bank on hairlines completely, but they seem to add to confirmation of how a certain star likes to wear his hair, or how the star's hair grew. Now here's Jordan Peterson talking a little bit.
And then if I prepare a lecture, I usually have a question in mind, often that relates to one of the topics in my books, but sometimes something I'm thinking about, and then I use the lecture.
See, they raised the pitch of the voice a little bit higher. So you've got Russell Crowe's kind of lower, Jordan Peterson's a little bit higher. But they can do that very easily with technology, so that you don't really hear the grumbly, sort of gruff, lower pitch voice of Russell Crowe.
As an opportunity to explore that question and answer it while I'm watching the audience to see if my words are landing. And so it's an opportunity to think on my feet. And I think part of the reason the lectures are well attended is because it's a high wire act in some sense. Because I never know when I go on stage whether I'm going to bring the lecture to something like a punchline, to something like a conclusion. So, and I have no idea.
Now, he's supposed to be a psychologist, but he's talking like an actor on stage. A genuine psychologist doesn't talk that way.
have a variety of ideas up in the air.
That's extraordinary. You have no idea where it may lead to.
No. No. It's an
Is
exploration.
that not scary? I mean,
yes. But, you know, there's an idea that the truth will set you free, right? And that's a very strange idea, because you could imagine that I could come here and I could decide there are things I want to do to promote my books, let's say, and I could tilt our conversation towards that, or I could just say, well, I'm going to pay attention to what's going on here, and I'm going to see what happens, and I'm going to say what I think, and then I'm going to...
In other words, he's pretty slick, he's pretty professional in what he does. So just a little tidbit here about Russell Crowe. Now you can see he's put on a little bit of weight here, but he's kind of got that, you can see Justin Peters in his face. Now he's put on some weight there, but it's an interesting little article. It tells you that he has a history where he's related to someone who had their head chopped off in the from the Tower of London. Okay. Now the story goes that the individual was to be executed, and the platform gave way and killed several of the people below that were going to watch the execution of this individual. And as Russell Crowe's supposed ancestor was going to have his head cut off, he was laughing because the people below in the galley were killed by a freak accident. So this is the origin of the phrase laughing his head off. He was laughing when the blade struck his neck, thereby laughing his head off. Sounds like a great character for Crowe to play at some point. The article says, well, you know, Crowe is laughing his head off too, because he's extremely wealthy. Now this, I typed in Russell Crowe and Justin Peters. So you'll see a mixture of photos here of Russell Crowe. There's Russell Crowe with a little bit of weight on, and then Justin Peters. Justin Peters over here, and of course Russell Crowe down here. Justin Peters and Russell Crowe. I think I told you in my other video I got a high number of shills attack me because I had Justin Peters and Jordan Peterson together. Once again, it's a tri-bond. You got Russell Crowe playing Justin Peters and Jordan Peterson. So this tells you that Russell Crowe, his net worth is $120 million. And if you want to know how much these actors get paid for movies, it's an incredible sum. So not only do they make the money in the movies, but they make it playing other roles as well. Robin Hood, he made $20 million. Cinderella Man, 15 million. Master and Commander, Far Side of the World, 20 million. A Beautiful Mind. Now we should talk a little bit about that too, because Russell Crowe plays a professor, Nash, who's supposedly a schizophrenic. Interesting. Crowe plays a professor, a brilliant professor. Are you listening to me? Crowe plays a brilliant professor, Nash, in the movie A Beautiful Mind, but he plays a brilliant professor, Jordan Peterson, in modern times. Okay. Now the thesis of A Beautiful Mind is that this Professor Nash is on to all kinds of conspiracies. And he uses photographs to show it and everything. Just exactly like my channels. And then, supposedly, the medical community proves him to be a schizophrenic and needs medication. Well, that's the way it is. When you're onto something, the people around you will say, you're crazy. Let's see if I can find the Russell Crowe. This is Russell Crowe and Justin Peters. And this is Jordan Peterson and Russell Crowe. That's what I was looking for. So here's your Jordan Peterson right here. And then you've got some of your Russell Crowe over here. So you can do that on Google Images. Type in both names and you'll get a mixture. And as you look at the mixture, for example, down here, this is Russell Crowe and Noah, and this is Jordan Peterson. So you can almost see it with your eye. You don't need the pictiometer. Now what's very interesting is that the way I discovered Russell Crowe was playing Jordan Peterson and Justin Peters. Was I did a video called The Real Russell Crowe, and that was an actual crow, a bird, in the aquarium in Virginia Beach, Virginia. And I believe I put it on my channel, Isaiah 40 verse 8. And I just typed up Russell Crowe just to see what Russell Crowe looked like because of the bird. And looking right at me was just Jordan Peterson and guess who else? Justin Peters. And so that's how I caught Russell Crowe playing these roles. It was a bird. You know the old saying, a little bird told me? It literally was true for me. That a little bird, they call Russell Crowe, without the E on it, in the aquarium of Virginia Beach, Virginia. You can go on my channel, Isaiah 40 verse 8, and see that video. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I'd like for you to realize that we do live in times of great deception. In fact, it is the #1 sign of the end times, deception, where Jesus mentions it several times in Matthew's Gospel, chapter 24, about take heed, don't be deceived. Don't you be deceived by these liars. Don't fall into their psychology, and don't fall into their false faith that they present, because they're hoaxers and they're liars, and they're extremely wealthy because they do it extremely well. Thank you for watching this video. This is the end of the video.